Here we are live, Bradley. I'm Jim Andre. This is Out of the Box Podcast. That's my co-host, Bradley Powers. How you doing tonight, Bradley?
Whoop whoop. Bradley Powers is in the house with Jim Andre. I am Bradley Powers. I'm a mystic. Jim Andre is an alien contactee, alien abductee, and quantum healer, energy healer, as he likes to be
Energetic
called.
healer. That's correct.
And we are here to actually surprise you with phenomenal inspiration and reveal the truth about the world today. So, what's the subject we're discussing today, Jim?
Well, I don't know. I guess any topic is good. How about religion?
Anything but religion.
Anything
Okay.
but religion. Okay.
Okay. All right. I see where you're coming from. Well, it just has been brought to my table, but I won't say who by, that Mother Teresa, the blessed Mother Teresa, Saint Mother Teresa. Have you ever heard of Saint Mother Teresa? Well,
I've
Saint
heard of
Mother Teresa is who we are actually discussing.
Yep,
Okay, today.
Mother Teresa. Yep.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about Saint Mother Teresa. For those of you who don't know, Saint Mother Teresa was actually born on August the 26th in 1910. She was a tiny Albanian woman, and she died in age 87 on the September the 5th, 1997. That's 25 years ago. She actually died. Now the world was sorrowful, but not shocked that Mother Teresa died. However, during Mother Teresa's lifetime, she won many awards. She won the Pope John Paul Peace Prize in 1971, the Nero Prize for her promotion of international peace and understanding in 1972, the Bowsen Rise Prize, the Bowsen Prize in 1971. She even got the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She's got the Templeton Award in 1973, the Magsaysay Award. The missions of many missions of charities tried to follow Mother Teresa spirit and charisma. And by the 1990s, Mother Teresa had 1 million co-workers in 40 countries. Okay. So why are we discussing this wonderful, glorious woman? Okay. Well, let me get to the point. Mother Teresa's work has been recognised and acclaimed throughout the world. Now, the question is, was she a cult leader? Was Mother Teresa a cult leader? She was a saint. Was she a cult leader? Well, that's what we're going to find out because I got some questions. Have you heard these questions, Jim? Was she a cult leader? Is it possible there's evidence suggesting and references to support these claims that Mother Teresa was responsible for selling babies? In 2014, complaints of extortion and smuggling of babies were made. Children were tied to beds. Nuns were who flogged themselves. The homes were filthy. And did you know that Dr. Fauci is the son of Saint Mother Teresa? She
Well,
also supplied children to the Epstein Island. Now, Jim, would you like to share any information with me regarding
well,
Mother Teresa?
as far as Dr. Fauci being the son of Mother Teresa, that's one of the conspiracy theories that are surfing around the internet. But that I'm not sure of. But I can believe that she was a child trafficker. I mean, let's face reality. The Catholic, the Vatican, they had access to orphanages, and children worldwide, especially third world countries. And it's very possible that is true, and I believe it is. What the Vatican does is they practice, good under the guise of evil. Now let's face reality. Look at all the Catholic priests. Finally came out in the open after decades of molesting altar boys. They just kept, shoving it under the rug and moving them around. So I mean, yeah, anything is possible. and yet she went on to be canonized as a saint.
Yeah, that's right. A child trafficker. Wow, who'd have thought that in your life? In your life? In your life? You'd never believe that, would you?
Hello,
And
PWI spiritual investigators.
she brought in a load of revenue for the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church were in on this. The Vatican was aware of this. Look
Well,
at
the
the
Vatican.
catacombs at the Vatican, where all those young children, the bones of young children, thousands of young children's bones have been found under the Vatican in the catacombs. And the question is, they can't put a figure on it because there's so many thousands there. They can't put a figure on it. You know?
Yeah, the Vatican has more money than God. Pun intended.
The Vatican is God, isn't it, Jim?
Well, they think they are. Well, you might as well say they are, because they basically have enough money to control whatever they want to control. So
Yeah. And yeah, for what it's worth, the lid over the squalid moral and spiritual sewer that goes by the name of Missionaries of Charity has blown off for the umpteenth time. For a long time, watchers of the churches doings across the globe, this really isn't surprising, but it doesn't make my heart bleed any less at every such fresh incident. Here's the latest revelation. It was a routine affair for Mother Teresa, founded Missionaries of Charities, to sell babies. However, the issue became evident as there was multiple complaints of extortion and smuggling of babies since 2014. Missionaries of Charity centres in Ranchi were flourishing in the business of smuggling babies by systematically working alongside the local police. Do you know 100% of human trafficking in Africa are children? 100% are
yep.
children.
Well, let's look at the facts. There's been thousands of gods worshipped throughout history, right? My question would be, will the real God please stand up? And a fact is that religion is based on one thing. All religions are based on one thing, and that's fear. And the reason for that is they can use fear as a tool, so a small percentage can control the masses. Now they teach you to fear the dark side, right? The evil, negativity, and beyond to an icon or entity known as Satan. And on the flip side of the coin, they also teach you to fear the good and loving God, fear his wrath if you do not do his will. And the good Lord says that if you do not do his will and you sin, you shall be condemned to eternal damnation, which could be scarier than Satan himself. And then they set the bar for sinning so high that there's no individual that walked the face of this earth that never sinned, barring an infant or a child, because they're innocent. So what is that really all about when you stop to think about it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, one Facebook user here is saying that Catholics worship Satan, and that's true. They practice evil under the guise of good.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, agreed. And yeah, like this has been going on for like her whole lifetime, really. Although, like I say, it was exposed in 2014. There was many complaints of extortion and smuggling of babies. These complaints have been going on since 2014.
Yeah, I mean, You know, the writing's on the wall, I guess, for anyone who ever, you know, will want to open their eyes and read it. But
There is, if you believe in what Google says, there was plenty of evidence on Google to validate my claims. Mother Teresa 40 years ago was conferred India's highest civilian honour, the Bharat Ratna, the Jewel of India. But there are growing calls for the accolade to be rescinded, to be withdrawn. People are saying she should be stripped of her title, even though she died. She should be stripped. She died 25 years ago. She should still be stripped of her status as a saint because she wasn't a saint. Child welfare authorities said a nun and one other person linked to the charity were selling babies to childless couples for between $550 and $1,450.
yeah, I believe it.
There are nuns who worked in the home run by Mother Teresa charged with baby trafficking. So it wasn't just her. And this is since she's passed on, there are still people being charged that are affiliated with her organisation that are
Hi,
being charged
Candy.
with child trafficking.
How you doing, David?
May I do some shout outs, Jim?
David
I'd
Wilkes
like to
says
say
Fauci.
thank you, everybody, for joining us. PWI Spiritual Investigators, Christine Day, thank you for joining us. Christina Bell.
Yeah, and Vic is with us. Facebook user saying it's Vic. That must be Vic Makaroff. Hi, Vic.
Vic Makaroff. Piper P34. Gail Rand Epps. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and supporting this show. Pancage. It's a pleasure to have you all near us. David Wilkes. David Wilkes is in the house. Woo! Candy Fowler, thank you for joining us. Jonathan Kipps, a pleasure to have you all near us. Yes, and it is evil, says Gail Round Epps. Gail, you are right, it's evil. Yeah, it is evil. It's been going on for millennia and it's now being exposed. And people like us are exposing the truth. We're not slandering her name. We are actually sharing information that is freely available on Google, and not just on Google, on the Dharma Dispatch commentary channel. I think you'll even find even on the National Geographic channel, there's a program about it as well.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if this is Vic Makaroff. If it says Facebook user saying that far right Hinduism would denounce Mother Teresa.
She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. In 1931, she took her initial vows as a nun. But she actually believes that she heard voices from God when she was aged 12, and God told her to help the children. Although she had no funds, she depended on divine providence, and she started an open-air school for slum children. Soon she was joined by voluntary helpers, and financial support was also forthcoming. This was made possible for her to extend the scope of her work.
Well, there was over millions of workers involved, wasn't it? And
Yeah,
I'm sure most of them were volunteers that probably weren't even getting paid.
That's right, Jim. And there were 1 million co-workers in 40 countries representing her organisation and promoting Mother Teresa's spirit and charisma. No one was realising what was really going on. Child trafficking was on the increase.
Yeah, well, that's evil under the guise of good.
Wow. Astonishing. It's astonishing. The information is freely available for you to discover on, if you Google it, Mother Teresa child trafficker, you will be inundated with quite a lot of sources actually supporting the claims that we are making today. Thank you for joining us, Pancage, who's actually going to leave us right now. It's a pleasure to have you near us. David's here with both his accounts. 2 accounts on Facebook, David. What's that all about? And Gail Rand Epps says they got paid well, actors under the Church Trafficking Child Act. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Nightbot says, please support PWI and the SAU streaming network. Thank you.
Facebook user says they made her a saint to cover her wrongdoings. Yeah, the Catholic Church was fully aware. She supplied children to the Catholic Church, and the revenue she supplied to the Catholic Church was an astonishing figure. Millions. And people are saying that she should have her titles, be stripped of her titles after death. But will that ever happen? Her prize motivation for her work was for bringing help to suffering humanity. That, from what I understand, she actually was a very sadomasochist, narcissistic human being. She actually enjoyed seeing children suffer. She knew they were suffering from disease, and she wanted them to suffer as cruelly and as vile as possible. Financier Charles Keating, who was also convicted of swindling millions of dollars from small investors in the 1980s. Mother Teresa's charity benefited greatly from Keating's donations, that he swindled millions of dollars from small investors. And she even wrote to a California Superior Court judge seeking clemency for Keating on account of his being kind and generous to God's poor. Well, Keating was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in prison, but he only served a third of the sentence before his conviction was overturned on a technicality.
She also had ties with...
Sorry, Jim.
She also had ties with Jeffrey Epstein as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up, Jim. She supplied children to the Epstein Islands as well. All this can be validated, all what I'm sharing. Yeah, absolutely.
Gail Rand Epps says yes, major crimes against humanity.
Children suffered traumatically. No doubt about that. Suffered traumatically. And she knew it, she saw it, and she endorsed it as well. Nuns beating themselves. Nuns getting beaten.
Well, I don't know. What is your version of God, Bradley?
Oh, Jim, leave me alone.
What is your version of God, Bradley?
God is a sky wizard. That's what he is. He looks down upon us. No, not really. Okay. All right. You got the God from the Bible is a spiritual entity, allegedly. And then you got the prime creator source, which is an energy. I believe the prime creator source created the multiverse. The prime creator source is neither male nor female, yet it's both masculine and feminine. The prime creator source is not empathic. However, if you put out positive energy, the prime creator source will feed off your energy and return it to you in the form of karma threefold. If you put out negative energy, the prime creator source will feed off that negative energy, and return it to you in the form of karma threefold. It's up to you what energy you put out is what energy you get back. The prime creator source is not listed in the Bible. The Bible lists the God of the Bible as a spiritual entity, like a puff daddy in the sky. That's what the Bible suggests. I'm not religious, and I'm not here to turn anyone against religion, because there's an element of truth in all religions, and I'm anonymous too. However, we have to take into consideration that the Bible has been manipulated by the Council of Nicaea in 300 AD, 330 AD.
Yeah, what God is essentially is an energy, in essence, a source, a universal energy that makes all things possible.
Absolutely, my God is
Okay,
a universal
so
energy.
the extent of a God is the energy that moves you. Your consciousness has a great deal to do with it, and the air that you breathe. Now, if you have a conscience, and you want to do good, if you do something wrong, you feel guilty. There's people that can go out and do wrong. They can kill somebody, go home and sleep at night, don't have a conscience. Well, those people there, karma will catch up with them eventually, if not in this life, in the next one.
Jim, don't miss these out.
Huh?
Don't miss these out. We've got here, look. Love you guys, says David Wilkes. Thank you very much, David.
Yeah, thank you,
Much
David.
appreciated. Thank you. And we love you too, David. Gal Rand Epps says, tell it, Bradley. Yes, I'm telling it. I'm telling it as it is. These are not just my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but this is how I see it. Okay. And David Wilkes says, we're an amazing duo, Jim. How about that? Jim is the American Bradley Powers. Can you believe that? Yeah. Nightbot says, keep it spooky, everyone. David Wilkes says he has amazing chills, you guys. And PW Spiritual Investigator says, yes, a universal energy indeed, because we can't deny ourselves there is a higher consciousness. There is a higher consciousness. You can't deny that.
David Wilkes says, I'm understanding there's a balance and it has to be balanced out.
Thank
Yeah, well,
you.
right
Yes.
now that balance is very uneven. And what shows that is the state that the world is in today. It's interesting to note that the only place that the concept of right and wrong and good and evil exists is within the mind of the human psyche. It exists in no other species, nowhere else in nature or the universe. The bottom line is we happen to be existing in a random, chaotic, unforgiving realm. And that's just the way this natural realm is. There's natural chaos within nature itself in the form of natural disasters. Now, if a tsunami wiped out 250,000 people all at one time, do you think nature or the universe would feel guilty in any way? Absolutely not. The only concept of guilt or judgment anywhere within nature or the universe itself is within the human psyche. That's the only place it exists. And man's intelligence will one day be his downfall. For example, a cow grazing in a field is more than likely satisfied by doing just that, grazing in a field. But man, due to his higher level of intelligence, distorts the simplicity of nature and will never truly be satisfied until he self-annihilates. And that's the direction he's heading in today.
Gail Rand Epps, thank you for sharing that, Jim. Gail Rand Epps says Mother Teresa is spooky. Absolutely. David Wilkes says we're Akashic librarians, I think he's suggesting, which I go with that. A Facebook user says, if you're a Catholic like me, then you worship Jesus who gave us love. That is what you're taught. And as Catholic Christians, you have to live a logical life. Now, I'm not here sharing defamation of character at Jesus Christ. We're talking about Mother Teresa, okay? Jesus came to earth with a message to share. Some say there's no evidence that Jesus existed. Some say there's plenty of evidence to suggest that Jesus existed. The fact is, Jesus shared a message, and the message is love. That's what he shared. And follow the message, not the messenger. That's what he was actually promoting. However, to follow Jesus Christ is a true honor for some, and I recognize that too. you know.
Well, we spend so much time wondering where we came from, how we got here, and where we're going to go afterwards, that we don't concentrate on the here and now, which is what really matters. The moment, the here and now. That's all we ever have throughout life is the moment. You can live to be 100 years old. When it's your time to pass, it's going to go by in a flash. So what we should concentrate is on the here and now, not what happened before, or, you can plan for the future, but we got to do something about it. You can't just talk about it. You got to get up and take some action.
David Wilkes says, Jesus, he follows me. Well, I say to that what Genesis said, Jesus, he knows me. And he knows that I'm right. And Vic Makarov said, God exists within us. Absolutely. We're all connected by the flower of life. The flower of life is a God's gene, the gene of God. We're all connected by the flower of life.
Well, they say we're made in the image of God. So technically, if we're made in the image of God, we are like gods ourselves. Don't forget now, we also have the power to create, right? We have minds, we have an imagination, we come up with ideas that develop into inventions and technology, right? So, and nature need not a creator, for nature has a way of creating, producing, sustaining, destroying, and rejuvenating itself in a never-ending recycling process.
Thank you for joining us, Christopher Gibbons. And Christopher Gibbons has something he'd like to share. He says Luciferians infiltrated the Catholic Church. I think that's a fair comment, because there are reptilian statues, gargoyles, possibly. The interior of the Vatican is actually reptilian. It's like a shape like a snake, which you'd have to be blind not to recognize that. Gail Rand Epps says yin and yang. And David Wilkes says chills. That's what the wealth transfer is about in Revelations.
Vic Makarov says we are just having a bodily experience whilst on Earth.
PWI Spiritual Investigator says we all had that energy. PWI Spiritual Investigator says men have too much hunger and too much want. Nightbot says don't go to sleep. That's when spirits creep. Spirits around us all the time, man. Even in the daytime. But yeah, that is nighttime is their favourite, I guess. And David Wilkes says there's no choice. The Lord has been there forever. The prime creator source is a higher consciousness, been there forever. You can't deny that. Hi there, Roxanne Solomon. Thank you for joining us. Highly Evolved Love, thank you for joining us. Says Belial and Luciferian are the two factions against the human lineage. Belial and Luciferian are the two factions against the human lineage. Christopher says, Gibbons says yes, the cult of Baal. And Gail Rand Epps says the statue behind the Pope's seat is demons. Christopher Gibbons says Satanism in general has infiltrated Christianity. Well, I'd say it definitely has infiltrated the Catholic Church. And there's plenty of evidence to support that. Highly Evolved Love says, do you want to read that, Jim?
Highly Evolved Love says there are anti-Christic, where the Christic bloodlines and the Arthurian Jeheshua bloodlines The Kennedys, Lincolns, Presleys, Princess Diana was also Queen Mary of Scotland, all part of the Holy Grail bloodline.
Wow.
That must
A
be all
very
the
good
blue
theory.
bloods.
Thank you for sharing that highly evolved love. Christopher Shearer, that is. Thank you for sharing. Hi to Daryl Copeland. Thank you for joining us. Well, we didn't want to ruffle anyone's feathers on this show today, but we just wanted to share a statement of fact. And it's a statement of fact that needs to be shared. And the reason why it needs to be shared is so many children suffered, were sold into what? What were the children sold for? Adoption, slavery, sexual activities, even like scientific research, experimentation, possibly sport, food. Don't forget, what do children have that adults have as well? But children's is more potent and frivolent and addictive. Adrenochrome, right up to the age of 12.
Right, exactly.
Adrenochrome.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back with you. Okay, and we're back.
Hey, and I'd like to say, Roku, the reason for that advert is because Esoteric Hours will be disappearing from Facebook very shortly, and it will be broadcasted on Roku television only. You will only be able to see Esoteric Hours on Roku television. You need to buy a stick, you plug it into the television, and then you can watch Esoteric Hours and other paranormal programs on Roku TV. Okay. However, Jim Andre is staying with Out of the Box with myself as his co-host on Facebook.
Social
so don't
media.
worry, you're not losing Jim. Okay. Jim will be on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, Out of the Box will remain on social media, yeah.
And back to the drawing board. Chris Shearer says children are abducted mainly for adrenochrome. That is true. Claudia Marie says, hi, Bradley. Thank you for joining us, Claudia. What does Gail Randep say, Jim?
Gail says sacrifice. Before Christ, they are not tainted by this world. Yet the light source, pure, strong, is why they sodomize them. Good chakra, the ground chakra.
Thank you for sharing that, Jim.
Claudia Marie says, hi, Bradley.
Thank you very much for saying that. Yeah, welcome everybody from me and Jim. Our heart goes out to you, and we wish to say thank you for your support. Christopher Gibbons says Jamie Lee Curtis had a picture of a dead kid in a box hanging on her wall. How about that? I didn't know that, Christopher. Thank you for sharing. Jack New Jersey Double. What says what, Jim?
Why does the government always cover up the conspiracy of all UFOs, which they know all UFOs visit the planet? Well, the only answer to that question is because they're in a position where they can.
because they don't want us to recognize there are other intelligent life forms existing on this planet, in the stars, on the moon, under the sea, under the surface of the earth, walking amongst us, possibly.
I will say, to be prepared for a false flag event that the government is planning, or the 1% of the powers that be, if you will, of a false flag alien invasion. We all know that the technology exists today where, you have holograms, right? You can see Michael Jackson at a concert like he's really there, but he's not. Well, what they're going to have is holograms in the sky looking as though they're firing weapons when the weapons will actually be being fired by the military itself. So that'll be coming to a theater near us.
Yeah, and like it's fear of the us recognizing there is other intelligent life forms could actually cause a fracture in the religious fraternity.
Well, yeah, what they're worried about is if the truth ever came out and we accepted the fact that yes, there are extraterrestrials that do, by the way, have our best interests in mind, but what they want to do is strike fear into everybody, just like they do with religion. It's always fear that they use as a tool. If we start beginning to believe and realize that, it'll hurt their agenda. And what is their agenda? To eventually eliminate 95% of the world population and create a new world order.
Christopher, highly evolved. Yeah, do you want to? Oh, yes. We missed that bit, have we? Highly evolved love. That's Christopher Shearer says, although many of them are used as breeders for the demonic archontic seeds and their fallen bloodlines, they are supposed to be bioregenesis back into the system to save their distorted genes. Thank you for sharing that, Chris.
PWI spiritual investigator says, oh yes, keep your eyes open. Christopher Gibbons says Hollywood is filled with Satanists, and they are also cannibals.
Are filled with Satanists, and they are also cannibals. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. They are cannibals. Yeah. People, we are food. Believe it or
Gail
not.
Randep says they did that hologram ET in 1942 in Los Angeles.
And Gail Randep says sacrifice because they are not tainted by this world, yet the light source pure strong, while they sodomize those children and ground chakra. Thank you for sharing that, Gail. Yeah, Hollywood is filled with Satanists, and they are also cannibals. Yeah, Hollywood, where our legends are born. We idolize them people.
Christopher Gibbons says spirit cooking, they call it.
Thank you for sharing that, Christopher Gibbons, and it's nice to have you near us. Wonder where you've been. Yeah, I haven't seen you for a while. And on the Dharma Dispatch, you can actually read information saying that it's been written more times than one can recall about the horrific cult of Mother Teresa. And the story needs to be repeated, if only to serve as a repeated, constant and eternal warning of the untold barbarism that lies at the core of Christian piety. The exposure of Mother Teresa is devastating.
Highly Evolved Love says, so we know the Antichrist consciousness and the Christ consciousness, correct? Well, think about this on a cellular genetic level. There are holy genes within your DNA, and you have been turned off through genetic manipulation and vaccines, GMOs, and other chemicals that cause our magic from happening. Humans can see far behind, ahead, and beyond, but too many smoky mirrors and wool over our eyes to truly see these things.
Thank you for reading that, Jim. Jack New Jersey Double says, what do you think about Area 51, about what they have alien life forms there on the base, but they won't tell the public, and also spacecraft that are there, and they won't tell the public? Well, no,
Yeah,
that's
of
not
course.
what our eyes there is it?
Yeah, of course. When that event took place, they explained it away as a weather balloon.
The Roswell crash ended up at Area 51 originally. And from what I understand from my research, there were 7 bodies. 5 of them perished. 1 survived and 1 was mortally wounded. The mortally wounded individual passed away soon after. However, the one that survived was heavily interrogated and was shot with stun guns if it didn't answer their questions correctly, because it wasn't very negotiable to begin with. He didn't want to tell them much, and he said that we would not understand what he would tell us anyway. But he told them he had a fear of being stunned by a stun gun.
Christopher Gibbons says, I never liked Mother Teresa. Now I know why.
Yeah.
Nightbot says, love and light to all hearts.
And like, I will add a little bit. Mother Teresa spent her whole life harvesting poor, alien, and diseased souls with the single-minded aim to be united with Jesus. That's what she allegedly set out to do. But unfortunately, she was very sadistic, and one would never believe that in your life. And the Catholic Church knew of this, and she still became a saint.
Yeah, I mean, it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. You can't make this stuff up.
You can't make this up, no. Like I say, we're not here to slander her. We're here to state facts. These are facts from credible individuals stating these facts.
What we try to do found on Google. What we try to do is open eyes. You don't have to believe us. Do your own research. Come up with your own conclusions.
Yeah, that's right. Do your own research. That's what we're actually suggesting to you. And you'll find that the content of this show is actually holds words of clarity, words of power.
Christopher Gibbons is asking, have you ever seen the interview with the alien at Area 51? I have, yes.
Absolutely, Christopher.
Yeah.
I believe has been some fake interviews, but I believe I've seen the genuine, real deal. Where it has been leaked over the internet. What does highly evolved love say, John? Jim?
He says, at Jack, New Jersey Double, there are human experiments going on in Area 52. I don't know much about the Area 51 stuff, only I have discovered about 8 years ago that these novices were dark webbing stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, there's so many black op programs. I'm sure we don't know of, all of them.
Well,
Melville Pereira says, I loved Mother Teresa. So many questions to be asked. I need to look into this. And did these things happen after she passed? Well, I guess the truth came out after she passed.
The complaints began actually in 2014. Complaints began to arise of her organisation and her selling babies. There were complaints of extortion and smuggling of babies. Children were tied to beds. Nuns who flogged themselves. Homes were filthy. All this began to arise in 2014 and has been blanketed and swept under the carpet since 2014 while she was alive.
Gail Rand Epps is asking, was she affiliated with the Mothers of Darkness Castle?
I haven't got that information to share with you. I'm sorry. I'll only say what I've actually researched and can validate. The source is credible that I'm actually choosing. I've got a variety of sources in front of me. I'm not reading from one source. I'm reading from a variety of sources.
Yeah, Vic Makarov says it's C4 in Area 51, where all the reverse engineering is going on. Melville Pereira says, thanks for this. You're welcome, Melville.
We're only sharing words of clarity. Words that everything, all the content on this show, our words carry clarity. They're not our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. This is genuinely what has been blown out of the bag, uncovered, unveiled, and it's been going on since 2014.
Christopher Gibbons says, Christopher Gibbons says, I went to a Catholic temple once, and they had portals to both heaven and hell.
Wow. Wow.
I don't believe there's a heaven and a hell because, you know, according to nature, that would imply a final destination, and there is no final destination. It is just a never-ending recycling process.
You have to consider the fact that when you get to hell, like there's there's 7 levels of hell. When you get to heaven, you'll be allocated a level. Say you make it to level 1, you can still ascend in heaven to a higher level, same as you can still descend or ascend in hell. You can redeem yourself in hell, possibly.
Yeah, well, you know, during the course of a natural lifetime, you feel the very effects of a heaven and a hell right here on Earth.
Yeah, and like Christopher Shearer says, maybe this is hell here on Earth right now, and when we cross over to the next life, we experience heaven, providing we've earned it, because we are here to be judged.
This is definitely a prison planet. When we're born, we're not born free. In other words, all of the species are born and they're slaves, but what are they slaves to? They're slaves to survival itself. The human species has a double whammy, see? We're born and we're not only slaves to survival, but we become what? Slaves to society, okay? We get to live by the design of society and society's rules, see? Now, when we're born, what happens? Right away, we have a birth record. They have a record of our birth, our name, and we're issued what? A social security number, right? Which is akin to a convict ID number. So basically, we're born into this world. We fight all our lives to survive. We endure hard labor while being on death row. So that's what this is, a prison planet.
Well, I got a few more comments from the forum, Jim. Highly evolved, Christopher Shearer says, reverse engineering of what, though? I know the spacecrafts are being built. What else, though? Well, the reverse engineering originally began from the Roosevelt crash. That's where it originally began, and it stemmed from them. Also, we got directed energy weapons that had the ability to bring down spaceships and flying saucers. They had the ability to bring them down, to crash even. That's why spaceships crash, because with all their technology, they wouldn't really crash, would they? But weapons can actually bring a spaceship down to crash. And then they can take off the technology from the spaceship, and that's called reverse engineering. And also the technology we're using now, Android phones, PC desktops, laptops, Android phones, telecommunications, it's all come from, I believe, extraterrestrials, from reverse engineering. Okay, and even Tesla predicted it back in the day.
Well, let's get another quick commercial in there.
Okay, Jim.
And we are back.
And I'd like to say regarding that commercial, if you have a business, a podcast, and you would like Parafan to promote it, please get in touch with me or Jim, and we might be able to offer you some assistance and advice about the right direction to go. And we might be able to connect you with the correct Parafan family who can actually manifest what you desire regarding web designing, graphic designing, podcast presenting, and shows. All this is possible from Parafan, from the
Oh yeah,
commercial.
they do great work. And Mittens says fiber optics are a result of reverse engineering. Quite interesting if you read into it.
Yes, absolutely. A very good point there. Thank you for sharing that. Chris Shearer says we are already in hell. Christopher Gibbons says, and they collect dead babies. Christopher Shearer says, our purpose is to rise out of this chaotic pit. And how do you rise out of this chaotic pit? You seek ascension. We are all here to seek ascension. That's the purpose of life. You can seek ascension by helping one another without expecting a reward. That's one way to seek ascension, although there are many other ways. This PWI Spiritual Investigator says this is a place to learn and to survive. And Vic Makarov, hi there, Vic, says the sim of the game is to go beyond the frequency fence on Earth. Thank you for sharing that. And PWI says we're controlled if you allow them to control you.
Gail Randep says awesome show. Thank you, Gail.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Gail. We aim to please. We aim to stimulate your senses and relish your taste buds with information, esoterical, intellectual information supported by diplomacy. Notice me and Jim are not swearing because we're
Bradley.
English.
Bradley, you can read this one off. Read that one off, Bradley.
Oh, thank you very much, Jim. Christopher Shearer from Highly Evolved Love says, ill intentions yield super negative karmic returns, either this life or the next. If in the next life, imagine this now, the deeds that have trespassed against another soul would happen to them in the next life. To provide the experience the soul requires to evolve, the soul needs to experience the extreme highs and lows in order to gain the proper rights and wrongs that will save your soul. Very well put, Highly Evolved Love. Crystal Shearer, I'm impressed with that response.
Yeah, that all deals with karma. What goes around comes around.
Christopher Gibbons says, I used to see UFOs all the time back in the 90s. Thank you for that. And Gail Randep says, you're all achievers. That's right, we are. We all have to recognize ourselves. Recognize is a word of power. By recognizing ourselves, we can recognize our gifts and our attributes because we all have them. We just need to recognize ourselves.
Vic says strength and happiness to all.
Awkward pause. Oh my God. Thank you, Vic, for saying that. Strength and happiness to all.
Love and light. Love says karma and the laws of cause and effect, unity and equality.
Thank you for sharing that. And we pulled in a crowd today, Jim. I'll tell you that. We really had. This show has peaked today. It really has.
Yeah, and really we thank you that you're all with us here today.
It's been a pleasure to have you all near us. So thank you for your contributions to the Brook Forum.
Yeah, I think the show went pretty good this evening, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're coming up to the top of the hour.
We got like 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes left. If anybody would like to add anything, we've got like less than 4 minutes to go before we're going to close the show. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you near us, and the show has peaked in viewers today. Absolutely. With what I've got here around me and with what's on the screen, it's really peaked. And thank you. Highly evolved love. Chris says the first insight is pay attention to synchronicities. And what are the synchronicities? The synchronicity of time. And the synchronicity of time is very real. Thank you, Christopher Shearer. He said he's happy to be here. And we're happy to have you here, Chris. God bless your soul and may good fortune shine upon you, Chris. Okay? Seek and ye shall find. If you can't
PWI
build with them,
spiritual
Chris, don't chill
investigation.
with them.
PWI spiritual investigator says very good show. Thank you.
And Vic Makaroff says good show, fellas. Thank you, Vic, for saying that. Don't worry, Vic. I've got my eye on you. You'll be on our show very soon, next week, actually.
Melville Pereira says a great show. So thanks, Jim and Bradley. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And yeah, Christopher Shearer, inbox me or Jim, and we'll connect you up with Elder McKinville. Okay. Okay, and we accept your apology, Chris. Okay, from the other day about for everyone. We accept your apology. We understand your dilemma at the moment.
No
okay,
problem.
Please don't worry about it, Chris.
Yeah. Okay, we're just about at the top of the hour, so I guess we're going to end the show. I want to thank everybody again for being with us. And we'll see you again on the next one.